Hello, my name is Edem Hessen, and my topic was physician assisted suicide. This is defined as a physician knowingly and intentionally providing a person with the knowledge or means, or both, required
Or
to commit
both.
suicide, including counseling about lethal doses of drugs, prescribing such lethal doses, or supplying the drugs. Is it wrong for someone to want to end their pain and suffering? This is the question when it comes to the topic of physician assisted suicide. For decades, this argument of morals has gone on. In my opinion, a person should be able to decide how and when they want to die, especially if a disease is already slowly killing them anyways. In an article from the New York Times, a daughter's story of her terminally ill mother was told. She expressed anger for physician-assisted suicide not being a law, that her mother was prepared to kill herself even without the help of a physician. This shows that the need for the law is great, and the amount of people suffering without it is high. As mentioned before, there is a long history of this debate. In 1906, a bill was initially drafted for physician-assisted suicide, but it failed to pass. And again, 1967, a right to die bill was proposed and was also not passed. It was not until 1973 a patient bill of rights was passed, and patients finally gained some control over their own health. They can now pick from an array of options they received and who they wanted as their physician. In the early 1990s, a poll was taken to see support, or lack thereof, support for physician-assisted suicide, and it was found that 34% of Americans supported it. In 1990, this poll was taken again, and 65% of Americans agreed with physician-assisted suicide. In 1998, a patient was aired on national television being given a lethal dose of medication on 60 Minutes. Dr. Kevorkian was a doctor to administer the dose, and this caused a ripple effect all over the nation, which sparked the conversation to come up again. The large reason why physician-assisted suicide needs to become a law is the amount of suffering terminally ill patients are going through. The top 3 reasons for choosing physician suicide that embody this idea of suffering are the decreased ability to do activities that once brought joy, loss of autonomy, and loss of dignity. It was also found in a study that motives to increase a patient's likelihood of opting for physician-assisted suicide are feeling weak, unbearable pain, loss of function, loss of control, and the fear of quality of life to keep declining. These are all reasons why people choose for physician-assisted suicide. In 1997, Oregon passed the first of 7 current death with dignity acts. This act allows people in Oregon that are terminally ill to use lethal injection to pass away sooner. After Oregon passed this act, many other states followed, and for this reason, I believe other states should continue to follow. For nations and states that do pass physician-assisted suicide, the United Nations suggests that there should be procedures in place so that misuse of this law is avoided. The economic factors that surround physician-assisted suicide are large ones. In my opinion, they are a very important part of this debate. One day in the ICU can be up to $10,000. This number is huge, and considering that terminally ill patients can be in and out of the ICU can add up. Even hospital inpatient care is a staggering $6,000 a day. These two values alone should show how much of an economic impact terminally ill patients have. If someone is dying anyways, then these costs can be all for nothing in a larger picture. It was actually found that 25% of medical expenses for the terminally ill have no meaningful impact or little. To add on to this ridiculous cost, Medicare paid almost $55 million alone for the year 2009 for the last 2 months of patient care. In terms of benefits, By physician assisted suicide becoming a universal policy, it gives the terminally ill an option to end their suffering earlier. Although they don't have to do it, this gives an option. With this option also comes a lot of money that is being saved, whether it is the person that is ill paying out of pocket or their family. A lot of money is being saved, and I'm sure the insurance companies would also benefit. My main reason for support of this policy is that there are little to no downsides. Nobody is negatively impacted by this policy. The terminally ill are passing away within 6 months either way, so giving them a way out is not hurting anybody. Although some physicians are against this policy, they do not have to assist in any of the suicides. There are plenty of physicians that will. Religious groups do not agree with this policy, but again, they are not losing or negatively impacted by this policy at all. Although I believe it is the patient's decision in the end, the perspective of doctors does matter. In a UK study of 3,733 physicians, it was discovered that the majority did not support physician assisted suicide. But this just means that not all physicians should be forced to assist, but rather ones that would like to. Doctors have heavy burdens as is, and assisting in suicide can make that burden a lot heavier. Whether doctors agree or disagree, they are attempting to interpret the Hippocratic Oath to the best of their abilities, and they are doing what they see best morally. In a 60-minute special, a patient with brain cancer was interviewed before she decided to take a lethal dose of medication to end her suffering early. She said she was grateful for this way out, that she was happy she didn't have to suffer anymore. She then went on to explain how she wasn't afraid to die, but in fact she was afraid of being tortured to death. This speaks volumes and can attest to how important it is in making physician assisted suicide a law. In conclusion, it must be understood that no group is being negatively impacted if physician assisted suicide were to become a law. People may disagree, but nobody's being hurt in actuality. Terminally ill patients will have a choice to die on their own terms, rather than suffering longer than they need to. By this becoming a law, it also saves money for the family that is supporting the patient. And lastly, there are enough physicians that agree for this to become a law.